हेलो एवरीवन, आई एम अंकित शर्मा, फाउंडर ऑफ ऑल इंडिया सोलर और आप देख रहे हैं नेविटास सोलर प्रेजेंट्स ऑल इंडिया सोलर पॉडकास्ट सीजन 2 इंडियाज रोड मैप टू नेट जीरो। ये है हमारा फोर्थ एपिसोड और ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट एपिसोड है बिकॉज इस एपिसोड में हमने इनवाइट किया है प्रोफेसर चेतन सोलंकी को, द सोलर मैन ऑफ इंडिया, द मैन बिहाइंड एनर्जी स्वराज मिशन, a man who is on a journey of 11 years to educate anyone and everyone about sustainability. हम उनसे जानेंगे कि क्यों इंडिया का जो टारगेट है नेट जीरो बाय 2070 वो इंपॉर्टेंट है, साथ ही साथ क्या ये जो टारगेट 2070 का है वो 2070 तक ही अचीव करना है या उससे पहले ही हमें अचीव करना होगा। साथ ही साथ हम ये भी उनसे जानेंगे कि इंडिविजुअल लेवल पर आज हम सबको अपने एनर्जी कंजम्पशन को कंट्रोल करने की क्यों जरूरत है। इस एपिसोड से आपको बहुत सारी इंफॉर्मेशन मिलने वाली है, सो स्टिक टू द एंड एंड सब्सक्राइब टू ऑल इंडिया सोलर। Hello, sir. Thank you for joining the second season of All India Solar Podcast. It's really privileged to have you on board, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ankit.
So, sir, as you know, the theme of this entire podcast season is India's journey to net zero. And we will be talking about how, on individual level, how one can contribute in it, because we cannot rely only on government to do all kind of stuff. We have to take actions, we have to take things in our hand, and we have to start contributing. So before reaching to that particular topic, please let us know about your Energy Swaraj movement, your journey. Please let us know, sir, how it started.
Well, the reason why I started my 11 years yatra in 2020 is the fact that the climate is changing and it is changing very fast. It is accelerating. And I believe that the people do not understand the severity of the change. I also believe that the government actions alone will not be sufficient
Yes.
to bring the change because governments are elected for short time and they do not have sufficient resources.
So you are going to stay in your electric bus for 11 years, not just few weeks, few days, for 11 years, like for more than one decade. So what was the response of your family on this when you told them that, okay, this is the thing which I'm going to do? What was their initial response, sir?
Well, I mean, obviously, this is something which is not normal that somebody leaving family, having children and everyone, and living family for 11 years is definitely not normal. And I did not tell them about this in one go because it could have been quite a shock to them. But because I have been, traveling quite frequently, I've been going to rural areas. I've been, you know, uh, promoting solar technology for users and how it can be localized and how people can be locally independent by their own skills and making solar simplified, demystified so that anybody and everybody can use it. So I've been doing this through my projects, through my books, through my training videos, etc. So my family had some idea that how this guy is thinking about. So when I finished my international yatra in 2019, I traveled across 30 countries. Then I realized that it is not enough for the government to solve the problem. We are running out of time, and we need to take drastic and immediate action. And I need to do something. And had Gandhiji would have been here, what he would have done? He would have started some yatra like this. So
Yes.
keeping that in mind, I slowly kind of started building the vision for the yatra that it cannot be 1 or 2 years, it has to be 10, 11 years. It cannot be done in part and parcel, it has to be full time, very intense activity.
Hmm.
And then I slowly started passing the information that, we should do something like yatra and it has to be long yatra. And one day I remember I was sitting with my children. I made a plan to tell them finally that what it means to take 11 years yatra. Then I told them, you know what, I'm not going to come back home for 11 years. Of course, you can always come back and meet me in the bus. I was relieved when my younger daughter told me that anyway, when you're always traveling, it doesn't make a big difference if you don't come for 11 years. So that made me lighter, because I could understand that this idea is already there that their father can do all these things, and I have been doing that. So that was the reaction. I told my parents, what does it mean to be away for 11 years? Probably you do not understand. I told them it means that you have to do kanyadan. For the marriage in our system, Indian system, we have this tradition
Yes,
of
sir.
kanyadan. So I told my father that it also means that you have to do kanyadan. So get ready. So I'm thankful that everybody in the family accepted this idea that I should do this, and the continuous support is there, and that tells that they also understand the seriousness of issue, and they also understand the importance of this yatra and what I'm trying to build.
This
So
yatra is
I
very much
mean,
important, sir. This yatra is very much important for the sustainability, for the people to understand why climate change. It's very high time that you should start taking actions. Coming back to the power industry, the entire energy industry. The power industry has three elements. One is generation, one is other is storage, and other is consumption. Third part is consumption. Generation is okay. We understand the basics of generation. Storage is also going on. In India, energy storage, new policies on storage are coming up. But when we see the consumption part, still somehow it feels like the industry has forgotten the consumption part. But at the end of the day, consumption is the base of generation, but somehow industry has forgotten the consumption part. Day by day consumption is going up and up, and because of that we are importing more coal. We are being dependent on we are putting pressure on power generation. Why so? Why we have left out the consumption part, sir?
well, it's a very interesting point and very important point also, that prevention is always better than cure. And
Yes.
people are talking about the cure. Let us use solar for climate change mitigation and all, but as you rightly said, let us not use energy at the first place, even if it is solar energy, and which is very important aspect which 99% people do not understand.
Exactly.
People do not understand that even solar energy should be avoided, and I made this rule. I hope you are aware about AMG rule: avoid, minimize, and generate.
Yes,
First thing
sir.
is
Yes.
avoid use of energy, even if it is solar energy. Why? Because producing solar panels, it takes a lot of energy. Making silicon, solar cells, modules. For modules, you require glass and wires and structures and aluminum frame and electronics and whatnot. I mean, and at the end of the life, we need to recycle them.
Yes, sir.
So that is all going to environmental impact. It may be less, but it is nevertheless not going to be zero. So best thing is avoid the use of solar energy also if you can avoid. And why people do not do this? Why people do not focus on consumption? I think we are uh, too senseless to what we are doing. I keep saying that the modern humans of today are the most stupid animal ever existed on the planet, because
That's
with all our science and technology, we are degrading our own water, we are polluting our own air, we are degrading our own soil, forest, river, everything. So all the natural element that supports our life are in bad shape. What kind of modernity it is, or what kind of stupidity it is? But I think the bigger sense is not there. We have lost the connection with the nature. We do not understand that if I use one AC or one light or one fan, it is going to create a problem for the environment, which is going to affect everyone. So we have lost the moral sense also. That people having more money will put four ACs in the room, and even in winter season they will use AC. Of course, you have money and you can afford it, but we have lost the moral sense that my AC is going to create CO2, my AC is going to create heat, which is going to create problem for other people. So I think this sense of that we are connected with the nature, the sense that we have moral responsibility, that nature is fine, so that every creature on the planet is fine. I think that is completely gone away from our modern world, and therefore somehow the idea of growing more, consuming more, producing more is the predominant idea, rather than reducing more and consuming less, and being self-sufficient locally. I think those beautiful universal ideas have
yes,
gone somewhere in the air, and that's why
yes.
we are facing trouble of climate change, and we will suffer more and more as the time to come if we are not going to focus on consumption.
That's true, sir. That's true, sir. And you have clearly you have mentioned the right point that people are using AC more and more. 90% of people can be found talking about the pollution caused by the fuel. Like from the vehicle, they are very much interested to talk about the kind of pollution by four wheeler or two wheeler. But I have not seen many people talking about the thermal pollution, which is happening because of the AC, because in last 10 to 15 years the per capita income has grown, people are earning well, they are consuming more AC, and the more AC they are consuming, the environment is heating up more. Why people do not, I mean, why people don't talk about the thermal pollution? That's the one of the most important thing. They should address that. They should know that if I am using AC for 5 or 8 hours, how much pollution it is creating, how much heat it is generating.
Well, I mean, I will have to take you 10 step beyond that. I mean, so yes, I mean, AC and vehicle, that is what we can see, our eyes can see and we can feel it. Use of electricity is what we can see and feel it. But there are thousand other things that we do which you cannot feel. For example, I keep giving example of brushing your teeth, that itself is such an energy intensive process, we do not realize because it doesn't happen in front of our eyes, all the emission. But to brush your teeth, you need to manufacture toothpaste, you need to package toothpaste, transport it, then you need toothbrush, manufacturing, packaging, transporting, then you need water. For water, you
Mhm.
need pipe, and for that, you require, overhead tanks, and you require motor. For motor, you
Mhm.
require magnets and copper wires and whatnot. And that is not enough. You require a wash machine, that you require mirror. I mean, so
Yes,
many
sir.
things are required for brushing your teeth. In our day-to-day life, left and right, we use so many things. The use of cement, the use of concrete, use of road, use of
Mhm.
clothes, use of food, use of paint on the wall. Everything is energy. Every single thing that we touch in our life, every single second is has consumed energy or is going to consume energy. So AC and all is visible, but I would tell people that it's a consumption overall itself is a cause to the climate change. Whether you are brushing your teeth or you are using a simple T-shirt, everything is taken energy. So Gandhiji
Yes, sir.
said, there is only enough in the world for everyone's need, not for anyone's greed. He told this
Exactly, sir.
almost 100 years ago. 100
Yes,
years
sir.
ago, there was no climate change. 100 years ago, there was no pollution of the air and water, but he still said this. Why? Because this is the most universal thing that is required for existence of human being. We have
Yes, sir. That's
forgotten
true.
that we have to limit our consumption. In fact, all our economic model tells you to consume more and produce more. That's such a disaster for the
Yes,
planet.
sir.
Such a disaster. So I think we need to go back to the roots. And yes, we need to talk about all kind of pollution. We need to become more moral in using energy, and don't be a moral. At least be uh, think of your own children. I mean, who is going to get affected? Suppose you are going to get AC and you are going to consume energy which is going to emit carbon dioxide. That carbon dioxide is going to have an impact on the environment and climate change.
Yes.
Who is going to suffer from climate change? Your own children, their own children, and 10 generations are going to suffer. So at least, for the God's sake, be gentle to your own children. Forget about the society, forget about the country. I keep telling parents, stop saying I love you to your children. You know why? Because all the base of our life, breathing clean air, drinking clean water, eating clean food, that itself is gone. No parent can guarantee that. And if you cannot guarantee that, please, for the God's sake, don't say I love you to your children.
Yes, sir.
So at
That's
least for
true.
the sake of your children, उन पे तो रहम करो, बच्चों को तो
Yes.
जीने लायक छोड़ दो. That's why
Hmm.
you should not use AC.
Now, there is a statement, there is a quote, very old quote, that we have not inherited the earth from our ancestor, we have rented it from our children. So of course we have to give it we have to make sure that they should have a good place to live. About your Energy Swaraj mission, you are promoting called energy literacy. What is energy literacy, sir, and why it is important as of now?
So Ankit, all this question that you are asking, this people do not know about it because we are illiterate in terms of energy.
Yes.
So the energy literacy is all about realizing that how complicated it is to generate electricity, how
Yes, sir.
complicated it is to bring coal from thousands of kilometers. We import coal. How
Yes, sir.
complicated it is to use all kind of ship and train infrastructure, and then generate steam and then electricity, and then again transmit thousands of kilometers, use 5 6 substations, and then electricity comes to you. People do not know where the petrol diesel is coming to you. Only thing we know is comes from petrol pump. No, it is not. It comes from thousands of kilometers, and after going through very complicated process. People do not know how much CO2 we are emitting. They do not know that our CO2 emission is 10 times more than our kitchen waste. They do not know how we can reduce our electricity consumption. They do not know what is the current status of climate change, what they are contributing to the climate change. They do not know how to reduce electricity consumption, how to go on solar. So these are the basic things that every user of energy should know. And our energy literacy training is all about bringing the literacy. When I say literacy means knowing alphabets, right? So
Yes.
energy literacy means knowing alphabets of energy use. And why should everybody become energy literate? Because energy literacy or the use of energy is very fundamental. It has become
Yes.
integral part of our life. Our
Yes.
social and economic growth depends on energy. And because we consume so much energy through the products, through the materials, through directly, fuel, it is important that every user of energy should become energy literate. And for that, it is important that they go through some training program like what I have generated. Unfortunately, there
Yes.
is nothing like that exists. No policymakers have ever thought about it. No
Yes, sir.
educationalist ever thought about it. And that's why when I started my yatra, first thing I realized that before we think of using solar energy, it is important that we all become energy literate. And then
That's
only
true,
the
sir.
careful and conscious use of energy will happen. And unless until we make careful and conscious use of energy, no amount of science and technology can ever make human life sustainable on this planet.
That's true, sir. That's true. So, you are on the road for I think almost 2 years now because you started your journey in 2020, and it's going to be 2 years. So, can you share us some things like you felt good after seeing those things in the sustainability part? You felt like okay, this is happening, and it put a smile on your face. Okay, there's something good is happening.
Well, I mean, there are many good things, and I keep telling people in my lecture that we the modern humans are the most stupid animal ever existed, most dangerous animal, most ignorant. And you know what? People don't get angry. People actually smile and understand that that's a fact and reality. Also, this energy literacy program is being appreciated, and people are trying to do something now. Just in the evening, some couple came and I said, "Sir, after listening to you, we have decided that we will give away our electricity connection." So one of my mission of Yatra is to bring energy Swaraj, energy independence, encourage people to become electricity connection free, so that we all proudly generate and fulfill our own energy needs locally. So that is happening. There are many people who are now trying or thinking to do it, or some people have done it. People are reducing their electricity consumption, and there are examples that are coming. AICT, for example, All India Council for Technical Education, based on my training and interaction, they started doing it, and now almost 20 to 22,000 units of electricity is being saved per month. So
Yes.
these are nine things. The whole idea of energy literacy itself came from Yatra. So I think sitting at IIT Bombay, I would have never thought about such a thing. It only the Yatra gave me such a thing, and now it is becoming a kind of very important course. And for your information, already today, 26 countries, some people or other have done this course. So this is universal, the energy literacy, and everybody
Exactly.
should do this. So these are
That's
some
true.
nice things that have happened. Uh, the whole idea itself is very strong, and it has been now tried and tested that why such a thing is required. So there is a good support that we get from everywhere. People really appreciate what we are trying to do. People actually go extra mile and help us in organizing our yatra. So there are many good things that is keeping me high on energy and encouraging me to continue with this yatra.
So, sir, coming back to the India's target for net zero, of course, at the end of the day, every individual have to contribute. So, as of now, if you have to tell that one thing we should avoid doing or we should minimize doing in our daily life, which can create an impact on a longer run, like okay, the target is for 2070. Up to that particular point, it can create impact. So, what are the few things you will suggest us to start doing that?
Well, I mean, there are many things that can be done, including, I mean, so there are lists, I said we need to follow this AMG model: avoid, minimize, and generate.
Hmm.
What can be avoided? I mean, depends on individual comfort, but for example, misuse of electricity, overuse of electricity, and inefficient use of electricity can be avoided. So, first of all, switch off the lights every time when you're not there. TV, fan, AC, don't use it, avoid it. For example, at my home, there is nothing that we use. We do not use refrigerator, we do not use geyser, we do not use air conditioner. So, that can be avoided. Now once you avoid this thing, next thing is minimize it, so can we replace CFL lights with LED lights? Many people are already doing it. That's a good thing, but still there are people who can do this. Offices can do this. Then can we replace a normal induction motor fan, which many everybody is using it, but now there are more efficient BLDC fan are
Yes,
available. Can we
really.
do this? Use of refrigerator should be avoided, but if you cannot avoid it, go for a smaller size refrigerator, not 3 doors and 4 doors, go for 5-star rated appliances. Use of AC should be avoided, but if you cannot avoid it, then cool smaller room, don't make a big room and then create, cool your walls and floors and furniture, before cooling your body. So there are many ways, and I would strongly recommend that you can appeal everyone to do this energy literacy training course. It's available at learn.energyswaraj.org.
Sure,
It's
sir,
very
sure.
powerful, and it gives many tips how to do this.
Exactly, sir. Now I'm having a notion in my mind that, let's just say, if we use smartphone, we charge our smartphone daily. What if entire country switch off their phone? Let's just say after 6 p.m. they are not using their phone. They're only in the case of emergency. How much electricity can be saved? How much generation? How much impact it can create over a period of 10 years? Let's just say if a group of 100 people or 200 people or maybe 1,000 people start doing this, avoiding the consumption, minimizing their consumption. Small things can create a lot of change over a long period of time. We know the example that, okay, रस्सी आवाजात से जन्मति हो सुजान रस्सी आवाजात से सिल पे पड़ा निशान. Over a period of time, a lot of changes can be done. So the question is, can India achieve the target of net zero by 2070?
Well, first of all, I think if India achieves target of net zero by 2070, we miserably fail. We do not have time till 2070. There is what is called climate clock, and I hope everybody is aware or should be aware about the climate clock. It tells how much time is left before we touch global warming of 1.5 degrees centigrade. And as per
Hmm.
this, the time left is some 7 years, and we are talking about 57
57
days.
days.
So
Hmm.
yeah, so we do not have time up to 2070. And I think, as I said, if we really achieve the target, I think we fail miserably. We have to achieve that much ahead in advance, ahead, and avoid and minimize has a great potential. Before we think of generation, whatever, I'm traveling thousands of kilometers, going all kind of institutions. What I see is the wastage in the form of misuse, overuse, and inefficient use of electricity is very high. So up to 30 to 50% electricity, at least, or even 60% in some cases, can be saved by avoiding and minimizing. 30 to 60%. That's a great number. Imagine if we save 30 to 60% in cooking, 30 to 60% in electricity, 30 to 60% in vehicles. That will be really great, isn't it? So that is
Of
what we
course,
have to do. And once we do this, our 2070 target can be achieved by, let's say, 2030, let's 2030, 2040, because
of course.
we are cutting down our targets by half, and when your targets cut by half, your timeline will also be cut by half. So we can actually do this, and we need to do this not later than 2035 or 40.
And we have a real time example in form of Saswat Panda sir, whom I interviewed in first season, and I'm a very big fan of his lifestyle. He's like, his carbon emission is almost all like, it's not 100% zero, but it's somehow it's very minimum. Like, his lifestyle is 90% carbon neutral. And one thing which I have adopted from his
lifestyle that having sprouts in morning as a morning breakfast. So I avoided my carbon emission in the morning breakfast. If I have to, sometime I boil the chana in the night and have the breakfast in the morning, so that I should not be dependent on any kind of cooking in the morning. And that was very amazing thing. I'm doing it from last 1.5 month, and I'm trying to keep it continued. I'm trying to do all my things, and I'm sure after this, after listening to this particular podcast, people will start looking at those things, and I will appeal them that please start minimizing your power consumption, avoid if it's possible. So thank you,
Well,
sir.
I mean,
Thank you for sharing. Yeah.
the good thing is that it's not one or two example. Right now, there are hundreds of example exists in the country.
Mhm.
I'm going around and I'm really seeing stories and how people have been self-sufficient. So there are more than 100 example that already exist. So because of the advancement in technology, because of the reduction in the prices, I think energy Swaraj or energy independence, energy
Mhm.
Atmanirbharta has become a very viable, and
Of
all
course,
of
sir.
us
Of
can
course.
achieve that Atmanirbharta. So I hope that people will do it, and not because of economic reasoning. We are already way beyond economic reasoning. If we go and use energy or use solar energy because it is expensive or not, I think we are already gone. It's too late. So let us use solar energy because it is the need of the hour, not because it is cheap or expensive. Let us not make an
Exactly.
economic judgment. Anyway, our life is not economic judgment. Our life is everything. Our life is celebration. It is economy. It is education. It is being moral, ethical. There are many dimensions of our life. Do not judge our life and do not take action, particularly the energy related action, only from economic perspective. And if you are going to do that, for unfortunately, we are all going to suffer terribly. And uh, not only terrible, it is now becoming a question whether the human life can survive or not. So it is not a question of this or that, it is question of survivability of human life. And I hope people understand this and adopt to renewable energy by following avoid, minimize and generate model, so that we can fulfill our energy needs with the bare minimum generation and consumption.
Sure, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for sharing your insight through this podcast and sharing your information, like what need to be done, what is the need of our. I believe our viewers will be very much, interested in adopting this. I'll try my level best to promote it, educate people, try to let them know that what need to be done. So thank you for giving your precious time, sir. And as
Thank you.
in the end, I promote the word Suryavan, I would like you to repeat after me: Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan, Jai Suryavan.
Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan, Jai Suryavan.